All right, so you're all ready for retirement. You decide to turn on your U.S. Social Security benefit. However, a month before your benefit starts, you get a letter from Social Security stating that your benefit's going to be reduced by hundreds of dollars a month because of your Canada pension plan. Today, we're going to talk about different strategies to maximize your U.S. Social Security benefit and your Canada pension plan. Hello, my name is Brian Haggard. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered financial analyst, and I'm the founder of Retirement and Financial. We help simplify your cross-border retirement plan. And one of the biggest issues that we help our clients with is the timing of when to turn on all of your retirement benefits, because it can be pretty complicated, right? You have a Canada pension plan potentially up in Canada, an old age supplement in Canada, and a U.S. Social Security benefit. And if you're married, there's a good chance that your spouse has these benefits as well. So we're talking about potentially 3 or even 6 benefits that you're going to have between the US and Canada, and trying to figure out the timing of when to turn all of these on can be pretty complex. And doing it the wrong way might cost you a lot of money long term. And so what we're going to talk about today is one of the biggest decisions people have to make is, what is the timing strategy behind turning on your Canada pension plan and your U.S. Social Security benefit? So first off, let's talk a little bit about some basics of U.S. Social Security and the Canada pension. So U.S. Social Security, we've probably all heard of that here. It's a monthly pension that you receive from the U.S. government in retirement. It can start as early as age 62, but the government says your full retirement age is between 66 and 67, and you can actually delay your benefit all the way up to age 70 to get the maximum benefit. Now, typically, if you've only worked here in the U.S., you have to have 10 years of U.S. work to qualify for a U.S. Social Security benefit. However, if you've worked in the U.S. and Canada, because this U.S.-Canada totalization agreement, it's actually a little bit easier to qualify for U.S. if you've worked in both countries. You actually, instead of working all 10 years in the U.S., you can combine your U.S. and Canada work experience to get those 10 years, as long as you've worked in the U.S. for at least a year and a half. So a lot of the people I talk to, maybe they came down to the U.S. for a temporary work assignment for 5 or 6 years, and then they moved back to Canada. And they'll say, Brian, I don't even qualify for U.S. or for Social Security. I wasn't here long enough. And a lot of times those people are mistaken. They actually would qualify for a U.S. Social Security without even knowing about it. Now, you may not get a lot, though, if you've only worked here for a few years, because Social Security is based on how much you've earned and how much you've paid into Social Security in the length that you've earned that money. So the longer you've worked here in the U.S., the more you've paid into Social Security, the higher your benefit's going to be. Now, you've also maybe have never worked a day in the U.S., but still may qualify for U.S. Social Security based on your spouse's benefit. And so a lot of people, again, when we're doing retirement planning, a lot of people kind of miss that benefit. They don't realize they may qualify as a spouse for a benefit. We just talked to a couple here recently, and their spouse was going to get $1,400 a month, and she had never worked here in the States, but that was the spousal benefit that she qualified for. So it's really important that you understand all of these different benefits that you may have as a U.S. and Canadian cross-border retiree. The other benefit that we're going to talk about today is your Canada pension plan. Now, you might also qualify for, or instead of a Canada pension plan, you may qualify for a Quebec pension plan as well, or instead. I'm just going to kind of refer everything to CPP here, but if the last province that you worked at was Quebec, there's a decent chance that your benefit would be a Quebec pension plan and not a Canada pension plan. So the Canada pension plan is really easy to qualify for. As long as you've worked in the in Canada for at least a year, you'll qualify for a Canada pension plan. You can qualify or start your CPP as early as age 60. Canada currently says that your full retirement age is 65, And you can delay your CPP all the way up until 70 to get the maximum benefit. And actually, one of the big differences between your Canada pension plan and a Quebec pension plan is in Quebec, they now allow you to delay your benefit up to age 72. And like Social Security, the longer you have worked in Canada, the more you've earned in Canada, the more you've paid into this plan in taxes, the higher your CPP benefit's going to be. So there's one drawback of having both your Canada pension plan and a US Social Security. We talked about one of the positives of the US-Canada totalization agreement, which is it can make it easier to qualify for US Social Security if you've lived and worked in both the US and Canada. But one of the drawbacks is this thing called the WEP, or the Windfall Elimination provision. And what this WEP does is it reduces your Social Security benefit when you have a foreign pension. It's not just a foreign pension. There's actually a lot of other people here in the US who've never worked overseas or lived overseas that also have a WEP reduction if they've worked for a company or an organization that pays them a benefit like a pension in which they were not paying into Social Security. So it's not just foreign workers that get hit with this. There's a lot of US workers that also get hit with this as well. Now, and don't shoot the middleman. It's certainly something that hopefully will get eliminated. We've seen a lot of things recently, a lot of proposed bills in the government that have talked about reducing or getting rid of WEP completely. It's one of the things that Biden actually ran on, is to get rid of WEP. So it is possible that at some point we will get rid of this, but it's now been going on for 20, 30 years. And so I wouldn't want to hold my breath about it maybe being eliminated. Instead, we want to kind of plan for it. So again, what is WEP? It reduces your Social Security if you have a foreign pension, but it only applies if you have less than 30 years of US work experience. If you've worked in the US for over 30 years and earned over a significant amount, and that amount, like for example, in 2024, is about $30,000. And that's been inflation adjusted. So maybe 20 years ago, that number would have been 10 or 15,000. As long as you earned over that amount of money, it would count as a year towards WEP for you. And as long as you have 30 of those years, you would avoid the WEP completely. But if you have less than 30 years of US work history, pretty good chance that you're going to be hit with this WEP reduction if you have a CPP or a QPP benefit. It's applied when you start both Social Security and your CPP, meaning that if you start CPP early and then delay Social Security, your WEP reduction won't start until you turn on Social Security, or vice versa. If you turn on Social Security early and delay your CPP, it wouldn't start until your CPP benefit starts. And it does not apply to your old age security benefit in Canada. Old age security is based on residency and not earnings, and as a result, it does not apply to your old age security. Now, if you have other private pensions in Canada, maybe you received one from a company, maybe you received one from a municipality or a school that you worked at, those would also theoretically impact your WEP as well. So it's not just your CPP, it would be other private pensions that you may earn. So the big obvious question is, well, how much am I going to be reduced? How much is my Social Security going to be reduced by this WEP? So there's a formula that is used to figure that out. But here's the main thing that you want to understand. The WEP will reduce your Social Security by up to 1/2 of a maximum WEP reduction, which we'll talk about here in a minute, or half of your CPP benefit, or CPP and private pensions. So for example, like if you're only earning $500 a month US from your CPP, you wouldn't lose more than $250 per month of that, right? So that's kind of how that formula works. So let's talk a little bit about what the maximum WEP reductions are and how that changes as you work or as you work more here in the States. So for example, if you have less than 20 years of US work, the maximum WEP reduction at your full retirement age, which is around 66 or 67 for most of us for Social Security, would be almost $600 a month, $587 a month. And you can see as you work here, that WEP reduction goes down. It goes down by about $50 per month per year that you work. And if you have 30 or more years of US work, you would have no WEP reduction at that point. Now, again, remember, that's just part of the equation. If you might be saying, hey, Brian, I'm never going to turn on my CPP. My CPP is only $300 a month. Why would I turn it on if I'm going to have a $587 WEP reduction? That doesn't make sense. Remember, you can't lose more than half of your CPP benefit at your full retirement age. So it still typically makes sense to turn on your CPP benefit because the WEP reduction won't be this full 587. Now, some people will kind of come back to me and say, hey, Brian, well, actually, my WEP reduction is more than half of my CPP. And that can be the case if you delay your Social Security benefit, because this is the WEP reduction at your full retirement age. As you delay Social Security, your WEP reduction does go up as well. But for a lot of people, it still may make sense to delay Social Security, but just something to be keep mindful of. So let's look at an example. So, Ed decides to start collecting his US Social Security benefit at his full retirement age, which is age 67. His CPP benefit is $500 Canadian per month, which equates to roughly $375 US. And his US Social Security benefit at the same point would be $2,000 per month. And he has less than 20 years of work here in the States. So again, looking at that last graph, one of the things to be mindful of is traditionally, if you have less than 20 years of US work, you might have a WEP reduction of up to $587 per month. But in his case, he's going to lose half of his CPP benefit, which is $188 per month, not that full $587. So instead of him collecting, $2,375 per month, he's going to get $2,187 per month between these two benefits, because his US Social Security benefit will be reduced because of his Canada pension plan. By the way, there is a calculator on Social Security website if you like to go on there and to calculate what your potential WEP reduction may be. So what are some different strategies that we want to kind of look at with our clients to figure out what's the best way to maximize your CPP and your US Social Security while minimizing that WEP reduction? So there's a few things that we kind of look at with our clients. One might be, well, and remember, your WEP reduction doesn't start until you turn on the second benefit, right? So if you turn on US Social Security and then delay CPP, that WEP reduction doesn't start until you turn on CPP or vice versa. So what are some different strategies that we look at a lot with our clients? One is you may decide to start your Social Security benefit early and delay CPP. That might be a strategy for people who have really small Social Security benefits and large CPP benefits, because they want to try to delay the CPP benefit, the larger benefit, while it's growing for you. One of the ones that we probably use the most is to delay your Social Security benefit and start your CPP benefit early. And the reason behind that, and we'll talk about it in a minute, is when you start your CPP benefit early, it reduces how much you're going to get from CPP, but it allows you to collect a benefit up until you start Social Security, in which you wouldn't have any WEP reduction. So that might result in the lowest CPP benefit, but the highest Social Security benefit. And for a lot of people, that makes sense. You might delay Social Security and CPP. That's going to give you the highest benefits from both CPP and Social Security, but it's also going to give you the highest WEP reduction. Or you might start Social Security early and CPP early, and that will probably give you the lowest Social Security and CPP benefit, but pretty good chance it's going to also result in the lowest WEP reduction as well. So what is the strategy that we look at a lot with our clients. And we'd like to call this the WEP Barbell Strategy. And what this strategy is, it's starting CPP early. A lot of times, that might be as early as retirement. So let's say, for example, you decide that you're going to retire at age 60. At that point, we might turn on your CPP immediately. And then we will potentially delay your Social Security benefit. In this chart above that I'm showing you here, they're delaying their Social Security benefit all the way until age 70. Now, that doesn't always make sense. I will say very few of our clients delay their Social Security benefit all the way to age 70, but unless they maybe retire later in life. But if you retire at 60, it'd be pretty rare to delay your Social Security benefit till age 70. But I wanted to show this as an example here. So what's the benefit of doing this, right? So the first benefit is you start to collect your Canada benefits immediately upon retirement, right? You start to have some of that income coming in. And that's nice for a lot of people to start to have a little bit of an income coming in. And maybe, that might only be $200 or $300 a month, but you start to add CPP. Maybe you have a spouse that also collects CPP. Then maybe you have your OAS benefits. And, all of this starts to add up for you, right? So a lot of times we'll start that CPP benefit early. The other benefit, there are other reasons we like to implement this strategy is, now you have no WEP reduction, right, until you start Social Security. And for most of us, quite honestly, Social Security is the biggest benefit that we're going to have in retirement. And it's the benefit that grows the fastest. It's growing faster than your CPP benefit. So for a lot of us, it makes sense to delay Social Security because of those reasons. Also, Social Security, if you're married, has a much better survival benefit than CPP does. So growing that and delaying it for a lot of us, again, makes sense. And so what this allows us to do, ultimately, this strategy is collect CPP at retirement, start to get some income coming in, delay your larger benefit that's growing faster, which is Social Security. And then once you do turn on Social Security, you now have a higher Social Security for the benefit for the rest of your life, a smaller WEP reduction because your CPP benefit is lower, and a higher potentially spousal benefit for your spouse as well if you're married. So again, this isn't what we implement for all of our clients, but this is a pretty common strategy that we'll use to try to increase your benefits long-term and try to decrease that WEP reduction as well. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, my name is Brian Haggard. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered financial analyst. If you're looking for some professional help, we are a fee-only financial planner that can help you, that specializes in cross-border retirement planning. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to our website, retiremitten.com. Thanks all for your time today.